Hi, today we're working on Grade 3, Module 3, or Grade 3 Multiplication and Division. The page today is using the distributive property to multiply by 9. So we did learn a little bit about the distributive property, but now we're going to use it to solve some new multiplication equations. Let's look at our sentences. The distributive property allows us to break an equation into two parts. Okay, the distributive property allows us to take a big equation and break it into two parts. So then we can solve the parts separately and then put them back together. When we are multiplying by 9, we can multiply by blank and then take one group away. We can multiply by 10. The reason it's helpful to multiply by 10 instead of 9 is that 10s are easy. And then we just take one group away. So we're doing an easy multiplication problem and then some subtraction, which is much easier if you don't know your 9 times tables. If you do know your 9 times tables, this is not going to be faster. But we're practicing it so you can see how the distributive property works. And then you can use the distributive property when you're working with much bigger numbers. You can use the same properties. Okay, so it looks like here I have an array with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows. Now remember we said we're going to multiply by 10 and then take one group away. So I'm actually going to color that one group. So I remember that this is not really what I want. I'm going to work with it, but then I'm going to get rid of it. I colored it red. You can color it any color you want. So that's how we show this is the one row that is being taken away. All right, let's look at what our equations say next to it. 10 times blank. So I have 10 rows of 4, so it's 10 times 4. I know that 10 times 4 is 40, so I write that in. Now I have my one special row that's red. That also has 4 circles in it, so I say 1 times 4 equals 4. So 10 is everything, and then 1 is this one row. Now I'm going to write it all put together in a big equation. 10 times 4, because I have 4 rows, minus 1 times 4, because I still have 4 rows, equals something times something. Well, I had 10, I took away 1, I'm left with 9. But I still have 4 rows. So it's 9 times 4. So I had 10, the whole thing. I took away this one row and I'm left with 9 rows of 4. Because I know that 10 times 4 is 40, I can say 40, take away 4. So for the subtraction problem, I'm counting all the dots. I started with 40 dots and then I took away 4. And that gives me 36. So I know that 9 times 4 equals 36. Again, I know that this is a lot of work. And I know that there are those of you out there who have your 9 times tables memorized and you're saying, this is such a waste of time. It's not, because you're being introduced to something that's really hard for older kids in an easy way with easy numbers to use, so that when you need it later on, when you're working with really big numbers, you know how to do it and it's not overwhelming for you. Okay, we have another one to practice on. We have 10 rows again. Let me just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. And how many in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in each row. So I'm going to go ahead and put 6. 10 times 6, 1 times 6, because I know that. I'm going to color my last row. I'm going to color it blue this time, just because that's the pencil I happen to grab. You can color yours whatever color you want. We are just showing our thinking. That's why we use models, that's why we use colors, that's why we write extra things to show our thinking. Not only for our teachers, but for ourselves. So we look back and we remember, oh, that's why I did that. Okay, 10 times 6 is 60, easy peasy. 1 times 6 is 6. I can fill in my 6's. 10 times 6 minus 1 times 6 Notice we're using the parentheses here to keep the parts separate. That was our last lesson. Equals, so if I take away 1 row, I'm left with 9 rows of 6. Now I can do my subtraction part. 60 dots minus 6 dots equals 54 dots. So I know that 9 times 6 equals 54. The reason we do this together first is so that when you're working on your output page, you can look right at your input page to help you work independently. And don't be afraid to take chances and make mistakes, because the important thing here is that you understand why we do this. Not necessarily that you remember each step exactly. Memorizing is not the goal here. Understanding is. So do what you need to do to understand this. Grab some manipulatives, talk to your teacher, but do what you need to do to understand the distributive property. All right, it's time to tackle that output sheet. I'll see you next time.